Trump is saying, by the way, that the Epstein files now are not real, that they're made up Democrat hoax. Listen.
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release, yeah.
All right, let me ask you this around the table. I don't want to spend too much more time on this Epstein things. We'll be covering this every day. But the chances that Comey and the previous administration did bug the files is probably 100%. And I'm not being magatard on that. I mean, they definitely, it's 100% the fact that Comey's daughter, as you were talking about yesterday, Hennessy, is involved in the prosecution. So, like I mentioned, we try not to curse a lot, but I mean in this show, I typically do curse when I'm angry, also when I'm happy, in the morning, in the night. I just curse all the time, actually. But I do have a hard time holding it back. I think there's a lot of you guys out there that know, even though you try to be, a holy person or whatever, you cannot help but swear at what's going on right now, because that is the level of derangement. They say Trump derangement syndrome. Right now, Trump is deranged. And there's a clip I want to play. He knows that he effed up on this because they're trying to say that Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec, Charlie Kirk, these people were all anti-MAGA just about a week ago. And we know that then Charlie and all these people are coming out now and they're saying, no, we need to move on. We actually, Trump's right. We need to move on. So this is what I want to say is either A, they're being told something that we don't know and they're being sincere, or they are they're sellouts. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's why I invited Dinesh D'Souza, who also claimed that as well, to come onto the show and to speak to us and explain to us why we should stop caring about the Epstein files. And you know what? Dinesh accepted. So he will be on the show tomorrow. Is going to try to explain to us why we should not care anymore about the Epstein files. I didn't even know about this. Yes. So Dinesh D'Souza will be explaining that to us. That being said, I do want to remind you, that is like, so meaning about the benefit of the doubt, so I want to get your opinion. If I thought that they were just bad intentioned liars, then they probably wouldn't accept the invitation to come on and to talk about it. But the fact that he accepted it, is willing to discuss it, have a logical explanation on why, makes me at least say, let's give him a chance. Let's talk to them. I'm not flipping right now. I'm not saying we're going to get rid of it, but that's what I want to know from him. If he just says, look, there's something you don't know that will cause more problems if we release it. That's all they need to say. It's going to cause more issues. But it's not going to protect people.
Like, what's an example? Like, what could that be?
What could that be? Everyone in the government is implicated and it could cause a civil war, or there's or like I said, there's in the documents, they edited stuff to make it seem like people committed crimes they didn't, and saying hey, there's been actual edits put in and there's been deep fakes and we're trying to figure out what was going on. If they could just be honest about it and say, here's the reasons why we're not releasing it, I'm not going to be satisfied, but at least I wouldn't be cursing on my show. That's all I'm saying. I'd be like, okay.
That's true, yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I just wish they would tell us, right?
Well, the thing is, too, they've changed their reasons so many times, and that's what makes it so sketchy. Even if they were to give us a reason, is that, why are we to believe that? Because they've thrown so many things at the wall, and usually when people do that, it's because they're trying to figure out what's going to stick. And nobody seems to be buying their what they're selling, basically. And it's even worse when you see some of these MAGA shills just repeating it. I mean, I don't trust these people. I maybe you guys disagree, but I don't trust Jack Posobiec or any of these people who are like, well, we should ignore it now, or they're just kind of walking away from it. And that's not even for any personal reasons. It's just these are the same people who kind of towed the line for him in other aspects as well. And it's just why would this be any different? Because you're going to toe the line for him anyway. So you don't even have to have a reason to. It's not like they're ever going to come out and say Trump did something wrong or that the Trump admin did something wrong. So it's we have no reason to believe them.
But Jack is. I'm just saying, you had a point here.
Well, no, I mean, as Sarah mentioned, what could happen, the establishment could come crumbling down, but these are not the type of people. If they are involved in child molestation, doing things with children, this all deserves to be exposed. What happens is they get these people, they hold the information against them, and then they go ahead and they can get them to, pretty much pass any bill they want, push any law that they want. And the one thing, too, that Trump's doing is right now he's kind of saying, you know, this is the Democrats that want to put this out. They've messed with it. And is there a chance they've messed with it? Yes, there's a chance they messed with it. But
I'd say they did mess with it, but that's not an excuse.
It's
You just
not
need to
an
tell
excuse.
the public what they messed
Yeah.
with. That's it.
But
Yeah, exactly.
the Trump administration themselves were pushing for, you know, the Epstein files be released. When the Democrats were in office, they were giving them a hard time as well. I know we actually have a clip that kind of goes over that. But you can see where they were themselves using that as a tool, saying, elect us. We need to get, you need to make sure that, you know, there's justice for these children. We need to make sure that, you know, everything is done right. But unfortunately, now they're in office. It's a different story. But as you can see here.
How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not letting it go, ever. Ever.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, you see it there firsthand, exactly what I was talking about. You can see how the administration was pushing for it, saying that, you know, I can't believe these files aren't released. You know, they're coming after my father, but they're not going after Jeffrey Epstein. But now when they actually have the chance, what they're doing is they're gaslighting us. They're lying to us, and they just want us to move on, but we're not going to move on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because you guys were bringing up Jack Posobiec, and it seems like he's been keeping them accountable.
That's what I was saying. I said, I think he's been fine.
Yeah, okay. I thought you guys were saying that, and I was like, I don't want to be saying that because that's not true. And I just like scrolled through his feed to make sure. And I'm like, no, he's been trying to keep them accountable with this, and I think he's been consistent with it.
Yeah, no, I want to correct the record there. I didn't realize that. I thought you had listed him in the list of people who were in favor of it. But
no, I was saying that they were trying to say he was anti-MAGA, but it's like because he's holding them accountable. But I was gonna say Charlie right now and Dinesh are the two that reneged and went back and kind of said like, oh, well, you know, we got to drop it. And I'm gonna play this video here from it because like I know there's a lot of real anti, you know, Charlie people, but I'm not an anti-Charlie person. And it's like, look,
I am.
Are they currently blocking me? Are they am I on their speaker bureau and I'm technically sanctioned to speak at schools? Yes. Are they blocking me, all the requests for me to speak at schools right now? Also, yes. It's a very weird thing that's been going on behind the scenes, by the way. I don't think Charlie has anything to do with it personally. But obviously, you know, there was never a problem with me speaking at schools before October 7th of 2023. And then now there's been problems. They won't let me speak anymore. And I always remind people, yeah, it's a kind of annoying because there's a lot of money in that. And a lot of colleges and schools get really upset because they put together entire events, try to get the funding, and then they get blocked. And it's like kind of sad to punish, you know, speakers for having different ideas and thoughts. And then to go to see at the recent conference, even with all the policing of trying to keep certain people from speaking, they still couldn't control the narrative against Israel at their own conference. I do like Turning Point. I have no issue with them. However, I do think that Charlie is not just, I think he's just playing the long game, you know, in my personal opinion. I think he's just knows that he has political aspirations, I think, ambitions. I think it's like a lot of people where he's like, it's not worth it for this. I'm not going to alienate myself from the Trumplican side of the Republican Party because the Republican Party is Trump. It is his children. They are the future of the Republican Party. It's J.D. Vance. It's Peter Thiel, you know, and we know it's obviously not Curtis Yarvin anymore because now he's working on the America Party with Musk. But listen to this.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine. Honestly.
Charlie, Charlie, they were young girls, so it wasn't balls that were in their hands. It was something else. Okay, I just want to clarify. Get the gender right of the victims, please. It's like, but I mean, you know, what a bad expression to talk about kitty diddlers. They have balls in their hands. You're like, okay, sir, I didn't know they did that too. You know what I mean? Now it's getting worse.
I just have a problem with people who just, they don't have any nuance to their, like they clearly take their cues from somebody else. He's clearly getting his talking points from someone higher up who's telling him to shut up about this. And even if he weren't, that would still display your incuriousness about this, incuriosity rather, about this topic. And I don't know what's worse, because at this point, it's like, you should be questioning these things. That's your job. You're a podcast host. You're, you know, somebody who runs a large organization. It's your responsibility, or it should be in theory, to be looking into these issues and showing curiosity about it. But, you know, and this is, like we said, an issue that we've been talking about for a long time in conservative circles. So I do take issue with that approach. And that's an approach he's taken on a multitude of topics, including Israel, for a very long time. I think Turning Point USA could be great. I don't think it is great, because they do a lot of things wrong, like the whole Israel issue. They've been covering that up for a while. And a multitude of other topics that I don't even think we have time to get into on this show. But, you know, the way that young women are portrayed in the organization, like, there's a lot of different things that I take issue with. And it's very clear that they're towing sort of the mainstream line here. And I don't like that.